Thank you for feeding us. It's so great to be fed.
Staying in either a courtyard or a residence inn, you can bring some leftover food. You can bring the plates to the room. But if you're outside, if you're not staying in these hotels, I don't know what you can do.
Let's continue with our program. Oka ko magkain na kama. Ilitak silong alunit. Tak kung katingan ni kalan no tay may tugalan no ay lakay kata nanitoy na Montreal kalon ni kudyo amin nanitoy na gala. Tay ma sivudli nga udlungan ni sivudli mi dan pionik pau kataw so asitin asimi housing mata kami. Ilang ako ASEAN saan mo ay katalo si kango sugunelo si ko petsiko ko sikusikti no pinasuti betsi ikaluni adlavilik ay pangal Miranda hoklutumit pinasuabi suni nunalik daga how di makilakata taga king ulimi kating katigil may gupta.
Forget? Betsy, if I forget your name, you're going to have to throw a rock at me or a snowball. Up in the Halut, I have to go visit the Halut. It's been a while. So all this to say, do not be afraid to mingle. Get to know each other. You gotten to know Milen this morning and Hayak, who did their presentations. I mean, don't be afraid to go see them. Go ask them questions. This is the reason why we're gathering everyone. And the little questions or the comments you have, it was like, what did you think of that NILCA? I mean, NILCA is still an area for people from Nunavik, Inuit of Nunavik. We're still learning. So I'm very happy the presentations that Milen and Hayak did allowed us to understand a little bit more. And that's our purpose this morning. So we're going to go ahead with the rest of the presenters. There's more people who have more information so that you're more comfortable. Starting tomorrow, your ideas are going to start coming out. And on Thursday, day 3, those ideas is like, okay, let's put them on paper. Let's get those information out there. Let's share our ideas. So it's really important that we put our guards down. Maybe tomorrow morning you sit at a different table instead of being in your little group. You're like, let me go take a chance and sit down with Sheila Watt-Klutzy. I would love to sit down with Sheila Watt-Klutzy. She has tons of information. She's one of the most interesting people, and you got to take that chance. Take that chance to get to know others. And I think it's right now, especially for the Planning Commission, what the organization is trying to do, put those guards down and get to know others. It's really important. Joshua Avataq, I haven't seen him from Pontiac for many, many years. I've known him since I was high, and he works at Nunavut Planning Commission. Like that, I didn't know. So I'm looking forward to sitting down with Joshua Avataq. And it's crazy. And my fellow Nunavut, hatika apaksohatartse, harmatartse, tema.
Ask questions, be open, get to know one another. That's how we have different mindsets. So what do you have in your what are your thoughts? Yeah, let's. It makes us feel that we're not alone in this. So please feel welcome.
The NILCA Signatories' roles and responsibilities. This is an amazing group of people This is what we want to show you. So the next presentation is a representative, one of the representatives from Government of Nunavut. Please welcome Natalie D'Souza. And I believe you have a whole bunch of other people that are like, can't wait to go up on the podium and talk as well, just besides you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they're all going to come up here and take the role. Tungwasitawel Natalie D'Souza.
Nako mi tunu tunga supunga uvanga Natalie D'Souza ikanayak tunga gavmakuni Nunavumia.
I work for the government of Nunavut, Nunavik Marine Region Planning.
Of Nunavut, Department of Environment. I'm the manager of Land Use and Environmental Assessment. As Tunu noted, we have a wonderful group here with the government of Nunavut who will be presenting today. And before I introduce them, I just want to say a quick thank you to Johnny and Evie for their wise words this morning, for Janelle and team, and everyone who's come here, for Tunu, the great presenters this morning, and the wonderful presentations we'll have ahead. I think this is a great forum, a great opportunity to learn more about planning in the Nunavik Marine region, so we're really happy to be here today. We'll also be here if you have any questions, and we also have a booth in the other room if you want to visit us and learn more. So I'll just quickly introduce our wonderful team that's here. We have Chantal Emigtau, Project Manager for Land Use Planning. We have Jonathan Pinn, Senior Wildlife Advisor. We have John Neely, the Coordinator for Wildlife Operations. Susan Woodley, Indigenous Affairs Advisor. Christopher Gerlach, Manager of Tourism Development. Ashley Pishkor, Territorial Archaeologist. And we're supported by Stacy Smaido, our legal advisor. So we can go to the first slide, please. So the government of Nunavut is a public government as contemplated in Article 4 of the Nunavut Agreement. It was formed on April 1st, 1999, when the territory of Nunavut was officially proclaimed as a territory of Canada. The government of Nunavut is responsible for the administration of the territory of Nunavut and serving Nunavummiut. Within the Nunavik Marine region, the government of Nunavut shares jurisdiction over the islands and waters with the federal government, Cree Nation government, Makivik, and the government of Quebec. As such, the government of Nunavut is a signatory to the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement, which we'll call today the Nunavik Agreement, as well as a signatory to the EU Marine Region Land Claims Agreement. Under the Nunavik Agreement, the Minister of Environment is the territorial minister responsible for land use planning and the approval of a plan within the Nunavik Marine region. We can go to the next slide, please. So the government of Nunavut has various responsibilities related to land use planning that are set out in Article 6 of the Nunavik Agreement. The government of Nunavut is responsible for nominating one member to the Nunavik Marine Region Planning Commission, which we'll be calling the Commission. So the Commission must establish broad planning policies, objectives, and goals for the Nunavik Marine Region in conjunction with government. So as part of that, the government of Nunavut understands that the Commission is completing this work through the drafting of a marine planning strategy. And the government of Nunavut is committed to working collaboratively with the Commission as required under the Nunavik Agreement. So the goals, objectives, and policies in the Commission's marine planning strategy are a really important foundation for the development of a land use plan, which the Commission's calling a marine use plan in the Nunavik Marine Region. The government of Nunavut will participate in the process that's being led by the Commission to eventually draft a marine use plan for the Nunavik Marine Region. The government of Nunavut will provide input to the Commission according to its mandate and jurisdiction for consideration by the Commission. And when the Commission is ready to submit a draft plan for a decision, the government of Nunavut will make a decision on whether or not to accept the plan together with the federal government. If a plan is approved, it will be in effect for the Nunavik Marine Region, and the government departments of the government of Nunavut will play a part and be responsible for implementing the plan according to their jurisdictional responsibilities. When a plan is in place, proponents undertaking projects in the Nunavik Marine Region will have to submit their project proposal to the Commission to confirm that their project conforms to the land use plan as the first step in the regulatory process. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about different government departments today and the unique mandates they have that have implications for the Nunavik Marine Region. So this is to better understand the government of Nunavut's role in the Nunavik Marine Region. So we're just highlighting a few key departments here, along with a few of the licenses, authorizations, and/or permits that they can issue for projects in the Nunavik Marine Region. Project proponents are still responsible for completing all steps in the regulatory process, including submitting their proposal to the Commission as their first step. That's outlined under the Nunavik Agreement. So proponents need to do this, all the steps involved that are relevant for their project before a permit can be issued. So I'll turn it over to my colleague Chantel to continue.
Thanks, Natalie. So you could go to the next slide, please. Oh, the one before that. The one before that. And before? Okay, here we go. As part of the government of Nunavut's mandate, the Department of Environment plays a central role in environmental stewardship across the territory. Building on my colleague's presentation, the Department of Environment leads the government of Nunavut's participation in land use planning. This includes ensuring that environmental and socioeconomic considerations within the government of Nunavut's purview are fully integrated into land use decisions throughout Nunavut. Another key responsibility is coordinating the government of Nunavut's review of development projects for potential environmental and human health impacts. This ensures that proposed projects are carefully assessed to reduce impacts to the environment and people, while aligning the territorial priorities and Inuit values. The department also establishes and operates territorial parks and special places, and this helps protect culturally and environmentally significant areas while supporting tourism and community use. In addition, the department leads the government of Nunavut's work on protected areas, engaging with partners and stakeholders on proposed protected areas and protected areas being established. Climate change is another major focus. The department's responsibilities include adaptation, mitigation, and mobilizing knowledge, providing tools to support communities and decision makers across Nunavut to ensure climate change considerations are integrated into their work and promote resiliency. Finally, this work is guided by key legislative and regulatory frameworks. These include applicable provisions of the Nunavik Agreement, particularly Articles 5, 6, 7, and 11. as well as the Wildlife Act, the Territorial Parks Act, and the Environmental Protection Act. I will now turn it over to my colleague Jonathan, who will share more information about their work in wildlife management and the key permits and licenses the Department of Environment issues in the Nunavik Marine Region. The department is also responsible for wildlife and habitat management. This work focuses on conserving wildlife populations, protecting critical habitats, and support sustainable use in collaboration with Inuit organizations and co-management partners. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. The Government of Nunavut's role in wildlife management within the Nunavik Marine Region is guided by the NILCA's principles of conservation and the guiding principles and concepts of IQ under Nunavut's Wildlife Act. While the government has the ultimate responsibility for wildlife management throughout the Nunavik Marine Region, it is the Nunavik Marine Region Wildlife Board that's the main instrument for wildlife management and the main regulator for access to wildlife within the region. We work with the board and other co-management partners as we work to fulfill our responsibilities under the NILCA. So here are a couple of examples of our key permits. One is the Wildlife Observation License, which is issued by our Operations Section. This is to establish, offer, or provide any organized activity in which wildlife is the object of interaction, manipulation, or close observation, including the making of a film or the provisions of an expedition, safari, or cruise. Our other key permit is the Wildlife Research Permit. So it's needed to conduct research on any wildlife or collect wildlife specimens for research. And this only applies for wildlife under our specific mandate. So there are some specific exclusions, like marine plants is another big one. Any marine species such as whales, that would all fall to the federal government. Here we have just a couple of contact emails for anyone to follow up on for wildlife research permits, observation licenses, and our general land use planning. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Susan Woodley with the EIA. Thank you.
Little lower. Good afternoon. My name is Susan Woodley. I work with the Department of the longest name, Executive and Intergovernmental Affairs. My department is one of the central agencies of the Government of Nunavut, and that includes our Indigenous and Circumpolar Affairs Division. That's the unit that oversees negotiation and implementation of treaties in Nunavut, including the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement. As per the NILCA, the Government of Nunavut is a member of the Tripartite Implementation Committee, and the Government of Nunavut person on that committee is me. And as was mentioned, my job title is Indigenous Affairs Advisor. I was also involved in the negotiations of the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement, and I've had the privilege of serving on the implementation committee for many, many years. I won't go over the role of the implementation committee since Kayak basically covered that earlier, but I can share from my experience on the committee working with my colleagues at Cernak and Mekivik that it does work very well as a working group that resolves issues as they come. I just also, since there was a question earlier about devolution, I just wanted to say unfortunately no one from our devolution secretariat could join our delegation here today. But I'll just say that both the Government of Nunavut and Canada are leading the consultation and accommodation process for the devolution agreement. And these include ongoing meetings with Mekivik. So we aren't necessarily able to answer all your devolution-related questions here today. I'm passing it over to my colleague Christopher at Government Services, Community Services. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christopher Gerlach. I'm the Manager for Tourism Development for Tourism and Cultural Industries, which is part of the Department of Community Services. The role for the Department of Community Services is to support local governments in leading their own development rather than directing the work directly from the GN. We focus on strengthening municipal operators and local governments, including support for land use planning, so communities have the tools they need to plan and manage growth. The department also plays a role in enabling sustainable economic development, including sectors such as tourism, fisheries, mining, and local business development, often by delivering programs on behalf of the government. We administer grants and contributions, also community-based training that are designed to build long-term capacity as opposed to just short-term outcomes. Community Services delivers a range of territorial public services, including licensing, consumer protection, motor vehicles, arts and culture, as well as business support. We are also responsible for coordinating emergency management and search and rescue, and work closely with communities and other partner agencies. The department also implements the NNI Act, which promotes Inuit participation in government procurement and supports local economic opportunities. Across all of this work, we operate in close collaboration with municipalities, Inuit organizations, and territorial partners, with an emphasis on aligning priorities and funding and roles. Next slide. Two of our key licenses for the tourism area are the Tourism Outfitter License and the Tourism Establishment License. The Outfitter License is required for anyone providing guiding outdoor recreational activities to paying clients. This includes activities such as canoeing, camping, fishing, guided excursions, and cruise-related activities. The license is issued under the Tourism Act and its regulations. It's typically renewed annually and requires operators to carry a minimum levels of liability insurance. The Tourism Establishment License applies to businesses that provide tourist accommodation outside of municipal boundaries, such as lodges, outpost camps, cabins, and campgrounds. These licenses are regulated under the Tourism Accommodation Regulations, and our operators are generally required to demonstrate land authority or tenure, building compliance, insurance, and other basic operational requirements. Together, these two licenses ensure that tourism activities are safe, accountable, and aligned with territorial standards, while supporting responsible tourism development in Nunavut. I will now hand it over to Ashley, the territorial archaeologist.
Good afternoon. So the Government of Nunavut's Department of Culture and Heritage is the regulatory body responsible for the protection and management of Nunavut's cultural heritage. So that includes archaeological sites, burials, and cultural belongings, and the fossil record, so paleontological sites within the territory as well. The department, in collaboration with our land claim partners, administers a permitting system to both archaeological and paleontological research for all lands and waters within the Nunavut territorial boundary. Within the Nunavik Marine Region, we align our work with the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement, specifically Article 20. The article outlines the responsibilities for permitting and conserving archaeological sites within the marine region. It mandates that we consult with Makivik designated organizations on permit applications to ensure Nunavik Inuit interests are protected before any work begins. We adhere to the processes set out in the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement Implementation Plan to ensure these consultation protocols are met. This involves coordinating with the Avataq Cultural Institute and monitoring the Nunavik Marine Region Impact Review Board's project screening process, wherein all projects must be assessed to determine if a review is required. Culture and Heritage is required to await the release of a screening decision report before issuing an archaeological permit to ensure relevant terms and conditions are incorporated and to ensure Nunavik Inuit have the opportunity to review and object to applications where appropriate. Next slide. Any activity that has the potential to disturb or alter a heritage site, so archaeological or paleontological, in Nunavut requires a permit. It is illegal to search for, survey, or disturb these sites without authorization. So we have two main types of permits based on the level of activity. The first one is a Class 1 permit, which is strictly a look but do not touch type of permit, and are appropriate for projects where interventions are not required. For example, some research projects, land-based educational programming, and also for tourism. If a cruise ship or tour operator plans to land passengers at a heritage site in the Nunavut portion of the Nunavik Marine Region, they must obtain a Class 1 permit to ensure they adhere to strict visitation guidelines. Our department has developed guidelines specific to tourism-related heritage site visitation. A Class 2 permit allows for excavation and collection of artifacts, and these are generally issued to professional archaeologists conducting mitigation for development projects or for academic research. In the context of planning within the Nunavik Marine Region, this is vital for any coastal infrastructure projects that may disturb the ground, as well as the management of the growing cruise ship tourism industry in the region, where cumulative impacts from tourism activities require monitoring. I'd like to specifically highlight our permit application deadline of March 31st in order to allow sufficient time for associated projects to go through the Nunavik Marine Region Planning Commission, and unless exempted, the Impact Review Board, which has up to 45 days for screening. Submitting by March 31st is the only way to ensure this full sequence is completed before the summer field season begins, typically in late June or early July. The submission deadline also aligns with our obligations under the Nunavut Land Claim Agreement, where applications involving fieldwork in the Nunavut settlement region are to be processed within 90 days, and some applicants, particularly in association with cruise ships, heritage site visitation, submit applications involving sites in both regions. Additionally, the deadline ensures we can meet the consultation timelines outlined in the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement Implementation Plan. A single deadline ensures operators are not held up by misaligned regulatory clocks, and you can see our contact information for our archaeology program listed on the slide. Thank you, and I'll give you back to Natalie.
So the next few slides, I'm just presenting on behalf of the Nunavut Research Institute, which is a part of the Nunavut Arctic College, because our colleagues from the Nunavut Research Institute that do work in the Nunavik Marine Region couldn't be here today. So just a little bit about the Nunavut Scientists Act. It's quite interesting. It's a very old legislation that predates the creation of the territory of Nunavut, and it was actually adapted from Federal Sciences and Explorers Ordinance that was created in the 1920s to protect against exploitative actions of non-Canadian scientists and explorers in the Canadian Arctic. The Act does not apply to scientific research on wildlife as defined under the Nunavut Agreement, or the collection of specimens of wildlife as defined in the Wildlife Act. The Scientists Act applies to research conducted on air, land, and water, and people, and licensing of research allows the government of Nunavut to track and coordinate research activities, to manage how research is carried out, to ensure that it is ethical and respectful, and to retain information that's generated by scientists. Next slide, please. So research is a very broad concept, and there's no single definition of research that is shared by all who practice it. Licensable research here is defined broadly as any undertaking intended to extend knowledge through a disciplined inquiry or through systematic investigation that's related to Nunavut's people, air, land, or water. The key defining feature of licensable research or research that can be licensed is the intent to produce authoritative scientific outputs, such as academic theses, peer-reviewed journal articles, manuscripts, or conference presentations. So these types of outputs that undergo some form of validation, for example, peer review, and then ultimately licensable research is usually made available in the public domain. So this slide is showing the broad range of marine research activities licensed under the Scientists Act that could be relevant in the Nunavik Marine region. There's a pie chart which shows the institutional affiliation of license holders. So what institution do license holders belong to in a typical year for land and water-based research? As you can see, the majority of licenses, about 40%, are issued to investigators from Canadian universities, and the second largest group are investigators from Canadian government agencies. Next slide, please. Some research activities are considered exempt from licensing when their primary aim is not the production of academic or scholarly scientific outputs like we talked about before. This exemption is designed to permit activities that are routinely conducted as part of an organization's normal operations so that they can proceed without unnecessary administrative burden. So Nunavut's science advisor and the minister responsible for the Scientists Act, they have the final authority to decide whether a research project should be licensed or not. And if people are unsure whether their project meets the requirement for licensing or an exemption, they can contact the manager of research liaison for clarification. We'll have the contact information on the slide. But if a project is deemed exempt from licensing by the Nunavut Research Institute, you might still require other licenses, permits, or authorizations before the research can proceed. So the list here are just examples of where you might not require a research license from the Nunavut Research Institute. So we can go to the next slide. So this is a flow chart, and it depicts like the typical steps to obtain a scientific research license for a project within the Nunavik Marine region. And there will be contact information provided if people wish to learn more about when a license might be needed. But the key thing to note here is that the first step is for the proponent to submit their proposal to the commission, and there's consultation that is undertaken before a permit is issued. So we can go to the next slide, please. This slide shows the number of licenses that are issued annually under the Scientists Act from 2015 to 2025, and the breakdown of projects annually by discipline. Administering licensing for such a large volume and diversity of projects is very challenging, especially for research in the health and social science fields, where you have to pay attention to complex ethical issues. So there's been 6 licenses issued for research in the Nunavik Marine region from 2021 to 2025 for oceanographic research, scientific cruises, studies, and marine habitat mapping work. Next slide, please. So this is the contact information of who you can contact at the Nunavut Research Institute. And then there's also the research portal where you can learn more about the research projects that are happening on isirvik.ca. Next slide, please. So these are just the key take-home messages. There was a lot of information today, but the key take-home messages are the government of Nunavut is a signatory to the Nunavik Agreement. We participate in the planning process. We are one of the jurisdictions that eventually makes a decision on the plan. And then we issue various permits, licenses, and authorizations in the Nunavik Marine Region, and we highlighted some of those today. So if you have any questions or comments, I know we're short on time here today, but feel free to come talk to us, come to our booth, and we're happy to, if we don't know the question, to help connect you to the right people. Kuyanami Nakumi. Thank you.
Nakumi Marelo Natalie, Amalo.
Thank you very much, Natalie.
I didn't write down the rest of your names. I really appreciate your presentation. Dako Nunavut government.
The Nunavut government is really taking part when it comes to this agreement. Because they are the signatories, and I think that we have a lot to learn from their experience. So if you have any questions concerning this presentation, you can certainly go ask questions. Any questions?
And of course, in the Planning Commission, it's extremely important that we stay connected with them, get to know them. Maybe tomorrow they're going to sit at another table instead of being just the NU over here, like I suggested earlier. That's where you can start getting to know each other a little bit more. I mean, no, I don't want to pressure you on that, but it's. But all this to say that Natalie and the rest of the team from Government of Nunavut, and you mentioned that you have a booth as well too. Okay.
If you have any questions, you can go to the other room if you have any questions as well.
Not time for standing up yet, but I know there was people who approached me and they said, I want to win a prize. I want to win a prize. So I got one trivia right here. What is the name of and again, the first person I see raise their hand, I will point them out, and you're going to have to come to the microphone, give me the correct answer, and you will have a beautiful prize. Janelle is over there in the back. You can go see her. And so here's the next trivia. What is the name of the inland sea near Anguvigaq? Oh, I saw a hand right there. Sorry, I didn't see you. I heard you, but I saw. Pili. Nalia imakpi nunoy luani tunu umira saneni tsunati ngasuna. Attanniuvik, formerly known as Richmond Golf. Billy Palliser, nakongmik. Hey, Billy. I know there was a few people in there like, I know the answer, but like, I don't want to go to the microphone. I don't want to be there. Okay, that was a good practice. One more. Let's do another one, hey? Salamiwa, takunasiya kahasiya kingi. Avataq Island is named after an Inuktitut word for a specific seabird. What is the bird's English name? Avataq, English name. Salamiwa, I saw your arm. Go to the microphone. Avataq Island is named after the Inuktitut word for a specific seabird. What is the bird's English name? I need to see your arm, and then I'll call you out. I'll give you 3 seconds. I don't have all afternoon. Salamiwa witaltuk. Avataq halunatu sunamatilik.
I misunderstood your question. I thought you were asking what Avataq means in English.
Avataq. But what is Avataq's name in English? Okay, go ahead. Salamiwa haningo timikay yang inawit.
Mer?
There's a very specific mer, but I'm going to give you both points. Salamiwa, I know she was walking away. She was saying mer. You said mer as well too.
Arctic mer?
not Arctic myrrh, but a thick-billed myrrh. So I will give prizes to Salamiva and to Kathy. Please go see Janelle. Hawi malangal kuwa apatu at siyo si maman. Tatsi mga tarong miuto.
Now we'll know that it is called thick-billed myrrh island. There are 600,000 that can be on that island of Avataq. It's one of the biggest islands to have that population, fun fact.
100,000 pairs of these birds, which means about 1,200,000 birds rest on the island's ledges, making it one of the largest colonies in the world. 1.2 million nagaligo teko ape thick-billed mertawan apatu hikatanganigo nati. We learn something new every day. Nakumik, pitahay. I have more questions. Don't worry. I'll ask them again. Kako apakso uhaw sa hangin nati. The next presentation will be from the government of Nunavut. This is the last group of partners, stakeholders in the NILCA agreement. Kathy?
Before I go back concerning the permits, tourism cruise, when they land, do they have a coordinator or a guide if they're following the and when they do land, do they also go to places that they're not supposed to go to? Do they have somebody to monitor the tourists?
Sites, that's archaeological and paleontological. With cruise ships, it's usually heritage sites, the majority of them, and they have a permit holder or a professional archaeologist usually that briefs the other crew members. And so when they land, they only do so in groups of 20 to 25 so that they can be monitored where they're going. And oftentimes the cruise ship crew will set out flags and stakes along the site so that if there's any areas that are off limits or to kind of lay out a walking path for visitors. And then we have archaeologists, the permit holder, that will provide a report on any damage or that they see or any kind of the state of the archaeological site, the heritage site. And that gets reported to our department so that if we see changes over time, we can make changes to the visitation. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Kathy, kiwi tiagalwaki. Ay, nakume apaksukay na kabi, apirikay na kabi.
Nakumik.
Tohangin na may any more questions?
So if you want further information, they also have a booth there.
To the NILCA Signatories, and they will be talking about their roles and responsibilities. Please welcome from the government of Nunavut, Jeff Hart, Amalu Michelle, Claire Roa. Jeff Hart. Takwataka kavamatohakunin kanataw kavamanga nipisi kikatokluti unik.
They have come from the government of Nunavut and to talk about their responsible roles and responsibilities concerning the NILCA agreement.
Who's going to speak?
Yarmavi.
Okay, very good. Sibulimi uhala ngayon tungaw si Tauli.
The delegation, please welcome Jeff Hart and Michelle.
So you press the button. You got to be.
Hey, good afternoon. My name's Jeff Hart. I'm the manager of land use planning with.
Sorry, no problem. I just want to make sure that people hear you properly.
Thank you. So yeah, my name is Jeff Hart. I'm the manager of land use planning with Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs Canada in the Nunavut Regional Office in Iqaluit.
And I'm Michelle Claire. Can you hear me? Okay. I don't know technology. I'm Michelle Claire Roy. I work as an environmental policy analyst for the Land Use Planning and Conservation Division of Northern and Arctic Affairs. So first of all, Nakumak Tunu, and we're grateful to be gathered here on the unceded lands of Kanyangahaga to give our presentation today and meet everyone. And it's been great to be here, and we look forward to the next couple of days. So we're here on behalf of the Government of Canada, and we represent, like Jeff mentioned, the Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs Canada. And we'd like to thank the Nunavik Marine Region Planning Commission for the opportunity to present here at the Marine Planning Forum, as well as all of the other participants here who are here to advance the planning in the region. And Jeff will take us on a little adventure here. Soon. Oh, here you go.
Okay. So the Government of Canada has a legal and policy commitment to land use planning across Northern Territories, including the Nunavik Marine Region. Land use planning in these northern regions is based on the co-management system, where decisions are made together as federal, territorial, and Indigenous governments. Land use planning is central to achieving the objectives identified in Northern Land Claims Agreements, such as the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement. The Government of Canada has a strong interest in seeing land use planning succeed. There are 3 planning areas that make up the territorial lands of Nunavut, in which the Government of Canada roles are similar. So the Nunavut settlement area, which is what most people recognize as Nunavut, is most of the Arctic Islands, the eastern Arctic mainland, the Belcher Islands, and the marine areas in between. The planning in this area is managed by the Nunavut Planning Commission. The EU Marine Region, which includes marine areas and the offshore islands in eastern James Bay and southeastern Hudson's Bay. The planning in this area is managed by the EU Marine Planning Commission. And of course, the Nunavik Marine Region, which includes marine areas and offshore islands on the east coast of the Hudson's Bay and James Bay, as well as the Hudson Strait and Anguvigaq Bay. And the planning here is managed by the Nunavik Marine Planning Commission. Today we are here to present the Government of Canada's role in the planning process. Firstly, Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs Canada. Canada's mandate is to continue to renew nation-to-nation Inuit Crown, government-to-government relationship between Canada and First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. To modernize Government of Canada structures to enable Indigenous peoples to build capacity and support their vision of self-determination. And also to lead the Government of Canada's work in the North. The Government of Canada's role is not simply at the end as a decision maker. We participate in the entire process from the development to implementation. We attend meetings and forums such as this and public hearings, and we listen to Nunavut and other participants' input, as well as providing our own where the federal mandate applies. To do this, Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs Canada coordinates a whole-of-government approach for the Government of Canada's participation in the Nunavik Marine Region planning process. This approach includes ensuring that there has been fulfillment of the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement, ensuring legal, efficient, and credible planning practices are followed, assessing that plans contribute to the regulatory improvement and efficiency and that they are implementable, and ensuring that the planning process considers Inuit societal values. Once a plan is in place, federal regulators also share responsibility for implementation of plan requirements where applicable.
Our whole-of-government approach means that we gather and consolidate input from departments across the federal government on anything we do in the planning process, so that Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs Canada's participation is informed by all of government. Across Nunavut, including in the Nunavik Marine Region, we work with 10 other federal departments and agencies. You can see them on the slide. These departments all have various mandates and federal responsibilities in the Nunavik Marine Region, which is why we work with them directly to get their input and participation in the planning process. This approach helps support our minister's role as a decision maker. Under the Nunavik Nunavik Inuit Land Claim Agreement, the Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs, the Honorable Rebecca Chartrand, is responsible for sharing a decision-making role with Territorial Minister on land use plans and amendments submitted for approvals by the Commission. And in making her decisions, she must consider Nunavimut, Makavik designated organizations, and the entire public process. The minister also approves or refuses exemptions to land use plans requested by proponents once a land use plan is in place. So let's take a closer look at what this looks like in practice. During the development and review of a land use plan, the Government of Canada has a number of opportunities to provide input to the Nunavik Marine Planning Commission, where Nunavik Inuit are central in the process. Throughout the planning process, federal departments, where possible, support plan development, review, and implementation by providing information. So if we take a closer look at the slide there and the different steps in the process, where do we fit in? During the pre-planning stage, there is generally an exercise to gather data and set objectives for a new draft plan, and in the future, during the review of an existing plan, during which the Government of Canada is consulted. Once a draft plan is prepared by the Nunavik Marine Region Planning Commission, the Government of Canada provides a technical review of the plan or proposed amendments to an existing plan in the future, submits comments and interventions, participates in technical meetings and workshops, and attends public hearings. The Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs, as I mentioned before, has a shared decision-making role with the Nunavut Minister of Environment. And once a plan is approved and in place, our activities move to implementation, where the Government of Canada departments and agencies must conduct their activities and operations in accordance with the plan. This would include any restrictions or conditions that should apply to permits and licenses where they're applicable. So in closing, we very much look forward to continuing to participate in the Nunavik Marine Region planning process for a marine plan as it moves forward, and most especially working with Nunavik Inuit and our decision partners to fulfill this important treaty obligation. So again, Nakormik for inviting us to participate in the Marine Planning Forum, and we'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Marie and Jeff Hart. Please welcome them. Thank you.
Point was to getting to know them a little bit more and what your roles and responsibilities were. So thank you, Government of Canada. Are there any questions for Marie-Claire or Michelle? Michelle Claire? MC. And Jeff, if there are any questions, do you also
any questions?
Department? I think it's the transportation department that's there. Yeah. So on the other side, you're going to get to know them a little bit more. There's different activities happening as well too. So Government of Canada also has a booth, but related more for transport and more specifically on ships movements, I believe, from what I understand. Any questions for MC and Jeff? If not, you'll be here for the rest of the day at least. See if you have any questions for...
You can go to them anytime, MC and Jeff.
Nakomik, thank you.
They were reporting regarding the NILCA agreement. They're full participants, and they have different roles and responsibilities, and we would like to work with them as to what their role is in the process and as to why this planning commission came about. For the signatories in the NILCA agreement, the signatories of so they're what the planning commission is involved in. So the different partners from Nunavik partners as to how they are connected regarding the Nunavik Marine region, especially for the marine region. And they are full participants, and as to what their role is and how we can work together. There are many of them. The first of all, first presenter, Nunavik Marine Report. For the Nunavik Marine Region Impact Review Board. Welcome them from Kutcha, Larry Ford.
PowerPoint for the Nunavik Marine Region Impact Review Board. The presenter is Barry Ford. Yes. Forward. But if you want to go back here, I heard you got to press this really, really hard.
Okay. This is self-destruct.
Yes, but you got to give me like 15 seconds notice.
Na inutito uhalavo.
Good to go. Maybe I'll start with saying that I've known Tuno a really long time and used to play hockey with him on the rink outside rink in Kudruk, and I'm not so sure what he was saying about all his siblings. I think they didn't always get along. But my name is Barry Ford, and I'm the chairperson for the Nunavik Marine Region Impact Review Board. I wear a few hats, but I'm happy to be here today to speak about the board and what they do. One of the observations I've made so far already at this meeting, and I'm really happy that the Planning Commission had the initiative to get that going, is that a lot of what I have in my first few slides have already been shared by many people, and I think it just shows that how complex the region is, how all the jurisdictions are working together, all the different departments of the governments have a hand in it, and I always say Nunavik is one of the more complex regions, so I think it's a good initiative that we were able to get together like this, and even myself as a chairperson, you know, I'm always learning about all the different complex things that are going on in the region. I'll also say that my PowerPoint is quite wordy, and it's probably not the best style of PowerPoint just after lunch, but I'll do my best to synthesize on the spot and not read too much. But the next slide, I think the only way forward really is to read. And one changed, but the other did not. Do I press it again, Tuno, or?
Jeez, press hard.
Oh.
Not the self-destruction one.
Okay. So the mandate of the Nunavik Marine Region Impact Review Board, the primary function of the board shall be to screen project proposals in order to determine whether or not a review is required, to gauge and define the extent of the regional impacts of the project, such definition to be taken into account by the minister in making his or her determination as to the regional interests, to review the ecosystem and the social economic impacts of project proposals, to determine on the basis of its review whether project proposals should proceed, and if so, under what terms and conditions, and then report its determination to the minister. In addition, the board's determination will respect to social economic impacts unrelated to ecosystem impacts shall be treated as recommendations to the minister, and to monitor projects in accordance with the provision of Part 7. Like I said, you know, we've been blessed with maps at this meeting. There's been many in the presentation, and there's many in the room. So I won't spend too much time on this, but I guess I just wanted to point out that, like I was saying, it's quite complex in the fact that the region is shared with different groups. There's the equal use and occupancy with the Nunavut Inuit, overlapping interests area with the Cree, and even includes an area with the Labrador Inuit. And who's responsible for the screening and impact reviews really depends on where the project will take place. The zones also has been mentioned in a few other presentations, but basically the blue, the main area I would say is really the responsibility of the Nunavik Marine Region Impact Review Board. The orange is where joint screenings take place between our board and also the EU Marine Region Board. The yellow is under the responsibility of the EU Marine Region. And then there's the LISA area where the Nunavut government takes the larger role. and of course the areas of equal use and occupancy, where the Nunavut Impact Review Board is playing the primary role. And Anguvigaq does appoint a couple of members to that board when they're reviewing projects. They participate in that manner. So what is a project or a project proposal? This is something that I wasn't around when the NILCA was signed or created, and I don't know if it's an omission or not, but it actually didn't have a definition in Part 7. So what we do by way of resolution is that we played a little bit of copycat for the Nunavut board, and we use the same definition that they do. So it means physical work that a proponent proposes to construct, operate, modify, decommission, abandon, or otherwise carry out a physical activity that the proponent proposes to undertake or otherwise carry out. Such work or activity being within the Nunavik Marine region. So as you can say, it's very broad, and pretty much everything can be considered a project, I would say, at least if it's physical in nature. And with that broadness, it just basically almost everything should go to the Planning Commission, because most projects will need to be reviewed by the Planning Commission. And also there's a note there that by request of the government or an MDO, even if it's not taking place within the region, the Impact Review Board can be asked if there's a chance for significant impact to do a review. The actual project review process, the projects or the proponents must submit their projects to the Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission, they have really two roles to do, is to check for conformity with their approved marine plan. We're all here today to talk about the marine plan, so there is no approved plan, but we're having a good start on the process, and to determine if the project is to be referred. So as mentioned, the conformity review goes with the plan, and the exemption review. The Planning Commission will assess the exemption based on the type of projects exempt from screening, and that's clearly defined in Schedule 7.1. Just a little note there too, that something that often gets misunderstood is that it's not the project proponent job to self-declare if they're exempt or not. What we see quite often is people going into the NILCA and looking at the schedule and saying, oh, I'm pretty sure my project meets this criteria. That means I'm exempt, so I know I don't have to go through the process. And that's not the case. There's a complete schedule. I'm not going to read them all, but they're here if you want to find it. And I should also mention that we do have a booth, and Darlene is out there who can show anyone the schedule if they're interested. Another note to let you know that along with the list, the board does have the prerogative to negotiate exemption agreements. So if there's work that's going to be done that happens regularly, it is possible to have an exemption agreement. We've worked quite hard with the government of Nunavut on the archaeological work, specifically for Avataq to do work in Zone A. So this is mostly done, but it's still waiting to be passed in the Nunavut legislature. We're also working on an exemption agreement with Transport Canada, and this is specific to work on the fiber optic cable. We know that there will be maintenance, and we also don't want to have people in the situation where they're out without internet needlessly. The screening process itself, the Planning Commission issues the referring to the Impact Review Board, and then we check for the complete list of the project. And once it's deemed that the project is ready to go for screening, the Impact Review Board has 45 days to get their work done. And within those 45 days, there's also a mandatory 15-day public consultation. In my opinion, of all the work that we do, the public consultation is really the gold of the process. This is really where the public, and especially people in communities, can offer, their experience of whether a project should go forward or not, or if there's things that they don't like that could be improved, or it's just really, I think it's, like I said, really the bones, because that's where we get to know whether there's public concern for something or not, and also where terms and conditions can be formulated. Once the screening decision report is made, it's sent to the authorizing agencies, and the authorizing agencies should be waiting for this SDR before they actually issue their permits or licenses. The screening decision report is made up of identifying several valued components and then cross-referencing the possible impact on these valued components, and then terms and conditions are made from there. That I'm aware of, there has not been an actual review yet. There's been many SDR, screening decision reports, which basically is used to inform the minister whether a full review should go ahead or not. And like I said, that I'm aware of, none have happened yet. But if the minister deems that it's appropriate to go forward, the actual review could be done by the Impact Review Board, or it can be done by the Federal Environmental Assessment Panel. The Impact Review Board also, if they were to be the ones doing the review, has the ability to monitor the terms and conditions from the review. Thank you. And that is the end, Tuno.
Barry. Well, wait till the user plan is done and the Planning Commission does its role and we start getting more projects, we have a clear mandate of how the marine region can be used. I think that's when you're going to get really busy, and more of those reports and reviews will be coming your way, and hopefully that will be soon. So I'm going to let you go for now. There's going to be a question period. There's still a number of people. So if you have any questions for Barry Ford on the Nunavik Marine Region Impact Review Board, he's the chairperson. He's the one who looks at if there's an activity, what kind of impact, if there is going to be an activity, what kind of impact is it going to have before the activity actually happens, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's been no full review, meaning that no project has deemed to go to a full impact assessment, but there's been quite a few pre-reviews where we're advising the minister whether we need to go ahead or not. And thus far, the answer is usually, or always been, that it doesn't require a full review, but we attach terms and conditions based on the public consultation.
Understood. So it doesn't go that far yet. Thank you. Barry Ford from the Nunavik Marine Region Impact Review Board. He did mention we've known each other since we were kids, and he knows all my siblings, and he's privy to two of those. But I got to mention he's the only child, so I don't know if he stood up earlier when we were doing that stand-up exercise. But I do have to say he now has a child. Congratulations, and another one on the way. So karma. There will be karma there. But I'm excited for you. Congratulations, Barry, and thank you for taking the time to be here. Next presentation is from another Nunavik Marine, another NMR group of people. NILCA did an amazing thing in making sure that we had enough committees boards to make sure that our Nunavik Inuit rights are being looked after. So here's a next group of people that will be speaking is from the Nunavik Marine Region Wildlife Board. I think they're a little bit more out there. We hear them a little bit more during their meetings. Please welcome from the NMRWB, Tommy Palliser, and Mark Basterfield.
All right,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tuno. My name is Tommy Palliser from the NMRWB manager. He's a director. Mark is our director. When we started our role in 2016. It's been a while now. When I had less gray hair back then. Back when I first started my role, I wasn't too sure what planning the Marine Region Wildlife Board does, so we'll be doing our presentation. We have our office located in Inukjuak, and these are Frank, Sarah Khan. They are our wildlife researchers. Dami Balazat. He works with Tanalo Raini, and Raini Kukiapik is our research coordinator who works at the Anguvigaq. And then we have a secretary, and Iola Mituk is our board chair. There's members, Shali Angak, Jimmy Akavak. Jimmy Akavak has been appointed by the government of Nunavut. Jean-Pierre Savard and Mike have been appointed by the federal government. Back when we started our role, Mark and I, this file was pretty much run by the federal government at the time before we started our role. So there was a quota set by the federal government. Wildlife management wasn't properly managed at the time. So we'll be doing a presentation on that. Just like the Impact Review Board and the Planning Commission, we have the same composition. We have board members. We work on Marine Region Wildlife. When Mark does his presentation, after his presentation, we'll talk about wildlife management. We'll talk about the progress we've made, and I'll give the mic to Mark for now. Done.
So the next little bit, I'll talk about our mandate from the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement, the NILCA. I'll go over it fairly quickly, and then we'll go back to Tommy to talk about more sort of in practice how we do things. So next slide, please. Oh, it's up here. Okay, I think I see how to use it. Okay. So, in Article 5, probably the most important phrase in it is it defines the NMRWB as the main instrument of wildlife management in the NMR. The aspects of our mandate include establishing or removing harvest limits, participating in or funding research, cooperating with other wildlife management institutions, and providing advice to other management institutions. And that one's in italics because that could be directly related to the Planning Commission and the planning forum that we're in now. We also do approvals of different types of management plans, species at risk designations. We would do approvals of protected areas that might be put in place for the purpose of wildlife management, as well as we promote and advise on wildlife education. So as a wildlife management organization, obviously conservation's an important part of our job, but something a lot of people don't ask themselves is, what is conservation? A lot of people think of the World Wildlife Fund or Greenpeace when they hear conservation. But the NILCA actually gives us guidance on what are the principles of conservation. So for us, conservation's not defined by any special interest groups or even the government of Canada. It's defined in the NILCA. So our guiding principles of conservation are a natural balance, healthy wildlife populations capable of sustaining harvest, protection of wildlife habitat, and restoration of depleted wildlife or habitat. We also have more sort of guiding principles generally in Article 5 of the NILCA. What we're looking for in terms of the wildlife environment in the Nunavik Marine region. Desiring healthy, renewable resources, such as wildlife. Recognizing that Inuit are the traditional and current users of wildlife. Recognizing that Inuit have a particular understanding of wildlife, and recognizing that Inuit should have a role in all aspects of wildlife management. And then, also in Article 5, we have objectives for wildlife management in the Nunavik Marine region. So the NILCA tells us we want to implement the conservation principles that I mentioned earlier. We want to protect the harvesting rights of Nunavik Inuit. We want to make sure that any decisions our board makes or any regulations put in place reflect the character of Inuit harvesting. We want to make sure that we are promoting the long-term interests of Inuit. And we want to make sure that we are integrating Inuit approaches to wildlife management. We want to ensure that there is public participation in every aspect of how we do our work, and that there's effective coordination with other institutes. And with that, that's all the stuff pulled right from the NILCA that I tried to put in a little more plain language. I'm going to turn it back over to Tommy to kind of talk about how we really do things in practice.
Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Regarding wildlife management, and this is an important file for because we Inuit use wildlife. We use them as clothing. There's a source of our food. We understand the cycles of the wildlife. So using that principle, how Inuit should be managing their own affairs when it comes to wildlife. This one is the first. We use our traditions. How should we manage wildlife? So we try to have an understanding on that. utilizing Anguvigaq Hunters and Trappers Associations. We want these associations to lead on these. We help them with the drafting of bylaws, and so it comes from the grassroots, from the communities. Then if it needs to go beyond Anguvigaq, then we assist them with that process. And if it needs to go further than that, like managing quotas and total allowable harvests, we try to come up with those managements. So the last resource we want is setting quotas. It has been difficult in the past, so therefore we try to work on these with the federal government. So how we want the communities to take leads on these. So we try to support the Anguvigaq. Then we, as a wildlife management board, take over if it's beyond their scope. There's a lot of work to be done still. We do public hearings. These are the files we've had public hearings on, the beluga wildlife management, beluga management, polar bear management, and these are important files. How can we manage polar bears without setting quotas? So we try to support the Anguvigaq Hunters and Trappers. So we want to be the last resort. So now the polar bears are less at risk, and we see them more. They're more visible. They're more abundant. So we want the Anguvigaq to lead on these wildlife management. So same thing with the beluga management. We hear the numbers are declining. So we try to collaborate with Inuit on how, because we have taken off some quotas, but there are still quotas set around the Hudson Bay area. So how can Inuit take lead on these files in the management of wildlife? So we try to use reconciliation. There's a lot of work to be done still regarding beluga and polar bears, wildlife management. We also have other roles to take on, responsibilities and roles to take on. But these are the most recent files we have worked on. And then Mark will talk about the recent work on.
You may also be familiar with us from some work that we do regarding research. We have two research funding streams. The first is a trust fund that's been set up the entire time the board has been around, where we fund quite a bit of government and academic research. It is open to different types of research as well, including Inuit knowledge research. But more recently, we also have put in place a community research fund. You may have heard of us through that, where it's fully focused on community priorities and less so focused on getting information that the board specifically needs for our own work. So next, I'll go over what we see as some connections to the planning process that we have. Obviously, that's an important part of this presentation for this forum. wildlife are an important part of well-being, and a lot of my understanding of the Planning Commission's work has to do with Nunavik Inuit well-being. So there's an obvious connection there. Wildlife represent food, purpose, culture, and economy for Nunavik Inuit. We provide advice where needed to the Planning Commission on wildlife issues. An example that hasn't come up to date, but likely will in the future, is the idea of wildlife management zones. Certain areas the Planning Commission might want to look at through the lens of it being an important wildlife area for one reason or another. And then the big one is the marine use plan. When it is drafted and developed, we will be closely reviewing it and working with them to ensure that the Article 5 of the NILCA is respected. There's no overlap or any confusion between the marine use plan and what's already in Article 5 of the NILCA. And I think back to Tommy for some closing words.
All right, Nakumi Mark.
Yes, this is important work. It's important to collaborate with the Planning Commission, and we should have, there's all these bodies. They weren't really visible at that time, back in the day. But now we can see all these committees and boards doing the work. So thank you, Janelle, for leading on these, leading the Planning Commission, and Barry Ford, thank you. So thank you all. It's again, it's like I said, it's very important. We need to be visible in our communities. We need to have proper plans and collaborate together, because we have understood that Donald Trump is trying to acquire Greenland. We need to be visible. We need to have proper plans in place. So I think they're planning to have some armed forces based in Iqaluit. So it's important. It's because the Arctic is being looked at. So we really need to be collaborating. So thank you again, and we'll be setting this work in the future. So thank you so much.
Well, you can have this one.
Thank you, Tommy and Mark, for reminding what we need to do. We reminded that we've progressed so much as Inuit. Yes, we need to be more visible. Thank you for reminding us that, Tommy. And we've done a lot of work. So before our break, there's also people from the Attanniuvik research body. So we've heard about this new entity. So let's welcome Barbara Papikatuk, Marie-Christine Vanni, and Billy Miko. Please welcome our next speakers.
Hi, everyone. Really happy to be with you today. Yeah. My name Marie-Christine Uvunga. My name is Marie-Christine Vanier. I'm the interim executive director for Attanniuvik. I would like to thank you, Suzanne and Janelle, for the invitation. Thank you so much. I'm here with my team, a part of my team. Maybe you can, would you like to present? Or here, you will.
Hi everyone, I'm Barbara Papigatuk. I'm from Salud and I'm here to present Attanniuvik to you. I'm here with Billy Miko, my colleague. Billy?
My name is Billy Miko. I'm currently living in Montreal, and I'm also one of the research in Nunavik's advisor. And
the research advisor at Attanniuvik, and it's been a little over 2 years that I'm in this. Okay. Bonjour tout le monde. Mon nom c'est Billy Miko et je suis aviseur de recherche pour les Inuits. Ça fait plus que 2 ans que je suis avec Attanniuvik.
I'm lucky to have that. So, today I'm going to go quickly because we have 10 minutes. We'll do an introduction of Attanniuvik. I'm going to explain the governance of Attanniuvik, how it works, what it is, how it works, the process of the review, the local committees, and the authorization. So the creation of this new organization comes from a real need. For years, community and organization in Nunavik have been overwhelmed by research projects coming from outside the region. At the same time, they've been trying to protect Nunavik's own needs and interests. Even with strong effort, it's been difficult because of a huge volume of research and complex governance system. That's why Attanniuvik was created, to improve communication, to make research management simpler, and centralize the process. Attanniuvik was created to guide and oversee research in Nunavik, with a clear goal to support Inuit self-determination in research. Attanniuvik means a place to seek permission. It's where researchers start to make sure their work respects the priorities, the needs, and the hopes of the communities. Attanniuvik is also an entry point. It helps researchers connect, work respectfully, and collaborate with communities. And finally, our role is to guide and support researchers so that their results are shared back with the people in ways that are accessible and meaningful. In short, Attanniuvik exists to make research work for Nunavik by working with the communities every step of the way.
The 7 objectives as outlined here for Attanniuvik are to improve regional research management, to improve knowledge sharing between the organizations, communities, and researchers, to strengthen Nunavik access to and control over research information, to enhance alignment of research with Nunavik Inuit social, cultural values and research priorities, to raise researchers' awareness of and adherence to legal and ethical standards, to promote and support capacity building and enhance training for community-led research, and to promote greater socio-economic value of research for Nunavik.
This slide explains a made-in-Nunavik approach of Attanniuvik. It was created, or people or organizations got together in 2018, but It's been a will since decades to create such an organization. And then that's the process that we had to go through, Attanniuvik had to go through. And in 2024, we got incorporated. And we did last year our first AGM and plan to launch the operation in 26, so this year. The governance. I would like to say, say hello to the board members that are present here. So our president is here, Billy Palliser, right there, and Barry Ford, Secretary Treasurer. And the board is composed of the main 5 organizations in a research department, are involved in a research department. So Attanniuvik Regional Government, Makivik, Anguvigaq, Avataq, Nunavik Board and Social Services, Health and Social Services, and 3 other board members that are elected. Do you want to present the team?
We have a team here. So there's me as an Inuit research advisor. Christine is the interim. Barbara Papikatik is the community research manager. Jennifer Hunter is also part of our team. She's the community agent. And there's 2 vacant positions right now, but they'll be fulfilled pretty soon. Next slide. Can you do this?
Well, I'll go very quickly. We have a membership, the board of directors at the center, and the membership all around. So we have Nunavik Organizations at your left, and communities on your right. So this slide illustrates the Nunavik research review process from idea to impact. Each project moves through a clear step-by-step pathway that puts communities first, ensure alignment with regional priorities, and uphold Inuit values and culture. From initial submission and community screening to organizational review and authorization and ongoing support, this process is designed to be transparent, collaborative, and constructive. The goal is simple: to support better research done the right way with results that are shared back with the communities.
So, at the moment, we're working really hard with Nunavik leaders to set up local committees. I'm in contact with 15 communities. I'm speaking with the mayors, landholding presidents, and Anguvigaq presidents for the moment to set up a local research committee in each village. Once the committees are set up and are trained and able to take on responsibilities of accepting and approving research projects for their region, we will work as a region to either accept or not approve research. There's also the regional level of review. The community local research committees are made up of community members. The regional research review process is made up of representatives from our 9 organizations.
Oh, do you want to do it this way?
We have, at the moment, Jennifer Hunter employed as the Community Research Liaison Officer. We hope to have 3 employed by June 2026. We have 1 responsible for the Hudson Coast, 1 for the Angava Coast, and 1 for the Hudson Bay. Each liaison officer will be responsible and working closely with their communities to make sure that they understand the projects being proposed and that the communities are comfortable with research happening in their region.
Oh.
It's still me. So who do we want on our local research committees, and which organizations? For local research committees, we're hoping for between 5 and 7 members, and we meet 3 or 4 times a year. As I mentioned earlier, we've already recruited people from Anguvigaq, landholding, and NVs, and now we're looking for representatives from the youth, the education committee, the health committee, and the elders committee. So by June 2026, we should have a 7-member committee in each community. On February 16th, we will begin our community tour, starting with Tasuya, Kuujjuaq, and Kangxualujjuaq. The second tour will be Shuswap, Kuujjuaq, and Attanniuvik. So yes, we're very busy planning that, and we look forward to meeting you all in the region, speaking to the employers and to the community members to see how we can make these committees successful for Nunavik. We hope eventually also to provide training to the local committees and to talk about things like ethics, ethic review, and things like that, so that they are comfortable working with researchers. I think that's it. Is there another one?
No, that's all.
Okay.
Attanniuvik is a research applicant portal, more for researchers to submit their project. It's a research project management registry. So it's our system management. So the organization involved will be able to consult and track on ongoing projects, and also for community research committee to access project information. And the third part, it's an exciting part, it's an atlas called Nunavik, a bit like the one in Nunavut. We're working with Carleton University to develop the atlas. So the atlas will map past and ongoing research project, and everyone will be able to consult it. And each project will have information, and you can go onto the map and search for a certain area. You will see all the projects that are ongoing or that have been done in this region.
Attanniuvik will not be replacing the issuing permits, and also that Attanniuvik will give research authorization when the research project is accepted. And also what's not written here is that the Inuit traditional knowledge holders will also be implemented with the research in the near future.
Yeah, we do not replace all the authorities in place that are issuing permits. It's more a social, cultural authorization that we give.
Exactly.
Anyone has a question? Nakomik?
That was great, great presentation. There's a lot of people who are interested in Inuit. Researchers have a lot of questions. I mean, they come to our communities, they do surveys or research, and then we don't hear back from them. So this is the reason why the Attanniuvik was created. Thank you for the speakers. Well,
after the break, but I have stand-up activity. I know we're going to have a break, but these two I really want to do, okay? Because the other one has a prize, and I want to see who's going to go for that prize. Stand up if you have ever eaten seal meat or mattak. NMRPC Marine. So cool, I love that. I really like that. That's always special to see. You can sit down now. Stand up if you think you can do a good impression of an Arctic animal or bird. Stand up. Wow. Oh my goodness. I thought we were getting to know each other here. I thought we were like starting to, all right, I think I can ask this question now. Umaru nipinganit na siguro na to ako ni kumilaut. Oh, this one has a prize, believe me. Oh, George, ate. Yay nikowito. Ate tana umaru.
So if you can imitate that, an animal calls, please, George Peter. If you can imitate a walrus or a geese. Go see Janelle.
Yes,
they know they are very capable.
No, I'm laughing about it, but I wouldn't be able to do it. I can stand here, but I can't do animal sounds. Not even Avaq. Manna, 3:25, it is now 3:25. 15 minutes break, 3:40, we will start again. Nakomik.
Yes, that's coming back from the break.
All right. Let's give you guys a little bit better chance. Here's another trivia. Una apaksutik nalauta kaswauti nalautiyok te matena. Isa kadutri na mitakutuaroma. Tili lang abagi haningo te molutit. Apaksutika ni kiutse to awasala how te halanga utavani tunoni tweet. Una apaksutika tana umarok imang miutak.
My question is, what is called the canary of the sea.
Called the canary of the sea due to its high-pitched whistles and is a vital source food for Nunavut. Sunogunova. I need a hand raise. Come on. I'm looking for a hand raise. What is known as the canary of... Okay, there you go. Mac. I think that's Mac Bole. All right, come on up to the microphone. I hope you have the right answer. Yeah, if you get the wrong answer, I'm going to put you in detention.
That's okay. I wanted to look stupid.
Go ahead, Mark.
Beluga.
Oh, yes, the beluga whale. There you go. Charity's right there. She's going to direct you to one of the prizes. Hilaluwak. Na kung may pinso hati ito na mutan na inila si Matsia to po alaman na kung may puhay si mga titunga sugat si upigo sa pugod ilinya titawat ta piyat sa kailangan tino tunga piyat sa lang ay inui piyat sa kailangan yang ani tunga bingan ni inila teribalil tukat si tako to sa katse to kasi kasolo merutit se pinasom makitawulumi tako ohaw sa kasimiyuit man Avataq kunipisi mayo.
Next speakers will be come from the Avataq Institute, Cultural Institute. They will be speaking, presenting on the type of work they do. Let's welcome Susan Lofthouse and Elsa Sansing.
Hi, I'm Susan Lofthouse. This is Elsa Sansig from Avataq Cultural Institute. Our executive director, Rhoda Kokiapik, she was going to come, but she got held up in Inukjuak and was unable to come down today. So Avataq was created in 1980, following the first Elders Conference, when the desire was voiced for an organization that would protect and preserve Nunavut culture. Gradually, the Institute built up to include library and archives, museology, language, genealogy, and archaeology. The archaeology department was created in 1985 and has been operating for over 40 years now. Attention was drawn to Nunavik archaeology as an important cultural resource by Daniel Witaluktuk, who was the first Inuk archaeologist in Nunavik, maybe Canada. Thanks to Danielle's work in the late 70s and early 80s, attention was drawn to the depth of history found on the land through reading the archaeological traces. The 1983 Elders Conference determined that an archaeology department needed to be created. They observed that archaeology was being done in the north exclusively by Southern archaeologists, archaeological findings became the exclusive property of Southern institutions. Elders desired to preserve archaeological evidence for the benefit of Inuit descendants and the North. So resolution number 3 was passed that led to the creation of Avataq's Archaeology Department in 1985, charged with the mandate to identify, study, protect, and preserve Nunavik's archaeological heritage. Efforts by the department have involved salvage work and impact assessments in support of regional and community infrastructure developments. The demand for this type of work has dramatically increased in recent years as the region and communities grow and expand. Provincial and territorial legislation protects archaeological resources from construction and development activities. Demand has increased so much that we are now needing to expand to have more archaeologists to help carry that load. We feel it is important that Avataq continue to conduct this work, maintaining control of the quality of the work and the data that results from it. Archaeological remains are irreplaceable and non-renewable cultural resources. The identification, recovery, and interpretation of archaeological information must be carried out using scientific research methods to preserve as much information as possible. These valuable sources of information on past lives are protected by regulations. In mainland Nunavik, the Quebec Cultural Heritage Act protects culture, history, and archaeology. In the Nunavik Marine Region, the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement includes articles that address this need. Article 20 concerns archaeology, and Avataq is recognized as a Makivig designated organization for overseeing archaeological resources in the Nunavik Marine Region. Article 20 requires that Avataq, as the MDO, be kept informed on legislation and regulation concerning archaeology in the NMR. Avataq's role is considered analogous to that of Inuit Heritage Trust in Nunavut. In this role, Avataq reviews applications to the NMR Impact Review Board and provides feedback and recommendations relating to heritage resources in the NMR. More than 4,000 archaeological sites have been recorded in Nunavik, on both the mainland and the offshore islands. In the Nunavik Marine Region alone, there are 850 recorded sites. This difference has a lot to do with the fact that so much archaeological survey has taken place closer to the communities in support of infrastructure development on the mainland. There are many islands that have never been visited, and on the islands that have been surveyed, there are still large areas that we know nothing about archaeologically. For example, on Pujanak, which you can see, oh, okay, never mind. On Pujanak, the very large island in northeastern Hudson Bay, archaeological survey has been restricted to one stretch along the mid-eastern coast. The rest of this enormous island is archaeologically unknown, but the area that is known is incredibly rich in archaeological resources. There are vast stretches of coastline in the offshore islands that have never been visited by archaeologists, but hold very high potential to contain archaeological sites. So, the fact that no sites are indicated on the map does not mean that no sites exist there. In the surveyed area alone, 110 sites have been documented, including more than 50 graves in the Central Valley. Those are all sites that were accessible on foot, so concentrated. A salvage research project took place here to save a Tunit site at least 1,000 years old that was severely eroding along the riverbank. You can see here the checkerboard excavation squares in the bottom right picture, right at the edge of the bank. Artifacts were popping out of the sand there. The older sites tend to be more shallow, and it is common to find artifacts directly on the surface. The fragility of these archaeological remains is of a major concern for visits from tourists. One cruise ship could have hundreds of tourists visiting a site. Even if they are divided into smaller groups of 20 and following regulations, that would still be too many people walking around sensitive archaeological remains, and this is a major concern for us. cruise tours have included archaeological site visits in their NMR access applications. Their knowledge of site locations is generally based upon mentions in publications. We have been evaluating requests on a case-by-case basis. If we have been able to determine that a site is in good condition and capable of withstanding visits from a larger group, we have suggested that it would be acceptable for tourists to visit. So we're basically deciding to say yes to some in order to protect other more fragile sites. To evaluate areas that we have no information for, we look at the proximity of other sites, the type of landscape and elevation to determine how much potential there is for sites. For example, if it's very low-lying and swampy, it has lower potential for archaeological remains. So these fragile sites on Puchanak, for example, were not considered acceptable for cruise tours. Another island often requested for land visits is Avataq in northern Anguvigaq Bay. As much of the coastline is composed of high cliffs, there are a more limited number of spots appropriate for boat landings today and in the past. So those fewer spots where you can land a boat, most likely there are going to be archaeological sites right there. We know of a number of sites scattered around the coast. It also has a very rich history known through oral histories, but not documented archaeologically. In some of these areas, there's potential for human remains that we know about through oral histories. We do not want these areas to be disturbed when no archaeological investigations have been conducted yet. On the central west coast, there's a Tunit site that we have determined would be acceptable for site visits because it has already been excavated. There are no artifacts remaining, and it is easily accessible by boat. On the southern tip of Avataq, there is an Inuit winter site that we are often asked to visit by cruise tours, but this site is considered fragile and is confined to a small area surrounded by cliffs. It could be damaged by large numbers of visitors, and for this reason, we say it's not acceptable. The archaeological information that has been accumulated for Nunavik supports this timeline of human presence in Nunavik, with the first people arriving around 4,400 years ago, the Tunit-Svilingit, who were the ancestors of the Tunit. The Tunit disappeared around 900 years ago, from what we know, and the first Inuit reached Nunavik by around 700-800 years ago, traveling from the Western Arctic, according to archaeological evidence. So this represents at least 4,500 years of history, largely represented only through archaeological traces. To summarize, archaeological sites are invaluable traces of an unwritten past. For much of Nunavik's 4,000 plus years of human occupation, there is no written record. The only concrete information we have comes from archaeological remains, which are non-renewable cultural resources. This record is fragile and must be protected to keep the information safe for future generations. We're concerned that tourism activities in the NMR can pose a threat to archaeological resources. Thousands of cruise ship tourists visit the NMR every summer. Artifacts are often lying on the surface, especially at older sites. They could be trampled or picked up. Many sites are too fragile to support so many visitors walking over and around them. So that concludes for us, and we're available. Elsa and I are here. Any questions you want to talk to us? Hi, Ma. I can make.
Thank you, Susan.
Wow, that was great.
When I hear about this, government 3,000
when we work with governments, we tell them we've been here for 4,000 years. So, and we have been occupying our lands. When we send that message, they don't really listen to us. But looking at all our islands, our lands, all have place names, all of them. So. Thank you, Susan and Elsa, for your presentation.
I know we only gave you 10 minutes, but that was amazingly interesting. Na kung may makialok Susan, ang maluel sa tungaw si Tawelalit.
We are, the Planning Commission works closely with, we've heard from most of them from already, but let's hear from the Anguvigaq. Let's welcome Billy Palliser and Michaela, who will be doing a presentation on the Anguvigaq, which is the Hunters and Trappers Association. Thank you. I'm the chairperson of the Anguvigaq board, and Michaela Nealon is our staff. The body, we were mandated to, our association was mandated to support our harvesting rights, and we want to be able to assert our harvesting rights for forever. So we are trying to keep on top of what harvesting is in Nunavik. We need to be visible. Wildlife need to have a good well-being. That's one of the mandates we work on.
History, it was covered by Johnny Peters in his video. It was created, Anguvigaq was created in 1983, so it predates the NILCA, and it was formed by Montreal with the intention to manage all wildlife, representing Inuit in those wildlife discussions. There was also further clarification of the role and of the local Anguvigaq wildlife committees, now known as the Anguvigaq. And so it was formed to be representing Inuit in wildlife discussions. It almost disappeared in the early 1990s, but it made a reappearance. And also it ended up being formalized as its English name, Nunavik Hunting, Fishing, Trapping Association, in 1993 with the first AGM, and then in 1995, I'm not sure, okay. In 1995, registered as a not-for-profit. So it has that history that predates the NILCA in 2006. And that role was recognized by Montreal, recognized by other Nunavik organizations to be representing Inuit in land and marine wildlife. But the NILCA in 2006 really cemented Anguvigaq's role in marine wildlife management. So if you turn your copy of the NILCA, which of course you bring with you everywhere, to page 50, you can find us, the Anguvigaq and the Anguvigaq, but referred to as the regional and local Nunavimi Umayulirit Katuchihatikininga, which is the name that was given to us as part of the NILCA, but it further confused things. People were now calling us Anguvigaq, Arnuk, and Elnuks, and Hunting, Fishing, Trapping Association, and no one knew which one to use when, because when you were talking about marine issues, you were saying Arnuk. If you were talking about land, you were saying HFTA. If you were just going back to our roots, you were saying Anguvigaq. So, but that role in the NILCA is super key because it really gave more structure and more legal power, and it describes the powers of the Anguvigaq, the local committees, as being the consultative body for the regional Anguvigaq with respect to wildlife matters in the NMR, and to be able to make their own regulations for their own community members. And for the Arnuk, which is that regional Anguvigaq, it's acting as a consultative body for Elnuks to the NMRWB with respect to wildlife matters, and also being able to make regulations as well and represent the Anguvigaq in those discussions about wildlife management in the marine region. So all of that got a little bit confusing, as well as our role. And so we brought those names together in 2023 and went back to our roots with Anguvigaq. We still have that description of Arnuk in the NILCA, but we are using that one unified name, which is Anguvigaq and Anguvigaq now. I don't click hard enough. So our team has grown a lot. It used to be just 4 executives with no employees. So our ability to really be engaged in the marine processes and wildlife management was very limited by our limited staff capacity. And so it was, participating in those regional discussions, but not as much being proactive about our own projects. In 2021, we started to hire staff members, and it's grown exponentially, as you can see, and which has allowed us to be able to support more the Anguvigaq and to be able to be participating more fully in the marine processes. And we're still growing, so there's lots of room to continue to be involved more and to be able to respond more quickly and fully to, for example, the Planning Commission and Impact Review Board emails, for example. We're still working on it. And we also have PhD students now, which I'll bring up in a moment. So our team has 4 executives. Billy, Dan, you've already met. There's Billy here, James over there, and Dan is working on Beluga Inuit knowledge interviews right now. Those are who are elected by the Anguvigaq to represent the hunters on the regional level. And those executives are leading the organization regionally. We have lots of amazing staff members now, which has been able to build up our capacity, as I mentioned. And Alec is going to be presenting tomorrow on one of our projects, so you'll hear from him, regional project coordinator. And it's exciting to now have our own Inuit-led, from Anguvigaq, research that's done by PhD students that we've onboarded and supervise, and they're part of our team to specifically address issues kind of in-house of birds and belugas in the marine region. So we're also getting a bit more proactive about our own research. And then there's the Anguvigaq, which are in all 15 communities, elected by the community members, the beneficiaries of each community, to represent them on harvesting issues. And they have 5 board members, and the president is the board of director for our Anguvigaq regionally. And all that to say is that we really work together. They're our bosses, we support them. We kind of work together to make sure that hunters are well represented.
Michaela.
Thank you, Michaela. I'm sure you understand how we understand what our mandate is on wildlife management. It's clearly defined in the agreement. So when Anguvigaq, we have lots of work to do. We need to be planning on how our land use. We need to be involved in the land use planning. So all the hunters and harvesters, as much as possible, we try to include them. And we have a lot of work to do on this too. So yes, thank you.
Just one further mention is that we're taking more and more initiative and finding funding to train the Anguvigaq staff. And part of that is how to be more involved in marine region processes, such as public hearings, such as impact review board reviews. And that's just really exciting to see the growth in the Anguvigaq and participating more fully in those processes. We also have quite a few projects, which I won't go into depth, but just to mention that there's projects we're working on, such as Attanniuvik camp, where we're doing our own research project in that area on belugas and on the ecosystem. We have a bird project now where we're looking at where birds are, especially because of climate change, where they're changing habitat. And we also are we have a team in Avataq doing Inuit knowledge on beluga gathering project. So Kathy and Billy have really headed that project up. And that will feed into the next beluga management plan and the public hearings. We have also SIKU, which Alec will present tomorrow, a harvest monitoring app that we've been developing with Nunavik, and many more projects. So as we build capacity, we're able to take initiative on these projects that are being brought up as priorities and doing it, leading that ourselves. So, Nakumik, thank you.
Okay, Nakumik, Michaela.
Thank you, Michaela. This planning process is very important because our wildlife management is a day-to-day life in Nunavik. We want our animals to be good. We want them to have a good well-being, and our land to be preserved for our future generations. So thank you so much. Yes, let's again welcome the Anguvigaq. Michaela and Billy Palliser are our speakers. So regarding the Planning Commission has a lot of work to do. They will not do this alone. They will work with a lot of organizations. So I'm sure this will come to a reality. So thank you again for all the different organizations for their presentations on the roles and responsibilities you do regarding marine region, Nunavik marine region planning. And right now, I'll give it to, well, let's welcome, so they'll do a presentation on strategy and engagement. Let's welcome Susan Dean. Let's welcome her again.
Big thank you to all of our presenters today. That was an amazing amount of information, and it was so wonderful to listen to. So thank you all. My name is Susan Dean. I'm the Marine Planner with the Nunavik Marine Region Planning Commission. This presentation is the last of the day, so please stick with me. I know there's been a lot. I'm really excited to share with you a little bit about what marine planning is in the Nunavik Marine Region, with the goal of setting us up for tomorrow. Tomorrow is all about marine planning. So a very different feeling tomorrow. Today has really been the big picture and setting the tone, and tomorrow we're going to dig in, and it's going to be really fun. So I hope I can give you a little context so that you're ready to go and hit the ground running tomorrow. I'm going to start with a video. And a very big thank you to Gonzalo and Thibaut. the two that have been walking around taking photos, for making this video. We're really excited for it. This is where I'm supposed to stall, but I'm not doing a very good job. We talked about it. Instead, I'm just going to stare at you. Okay, there it is.
Inuit are a maritime people. The marine environment is central to Inuit culture and identity. Food security, transportation, and overall well-being are tied to the ocean. In turn, Inuit are stewards of the marine environment and are dedicated to ensuring its long-term health and sustainability. For decades, Inuit have worked to establish culturally relevant approaches to conservation and sustainable economies. Now more than ever, cooperative and adaptive marine management efforts are needed. Climate change is causing increased extreme weather events as well as changes in sea ice and wildlife health and distribution. Exploration for renewable and non-renewable resources is expanding, and interest in the North by tourists and researchers is growing. Marine planning is a process for managing ocean spaces. It brings planning partners together to identify social, cultural, environmental, and economic objectives. Planning partners include rights holders, stakeholders, and governing bodies. Marine planning does not replace existing management for activities such as hunting, tourism, or shipping. Instead, it provides a tool for supporting communication and coordination and for all planning partners to help shape how the marine environment is managed. The outcome of marine planning is a marine use plan. A plan outlines how the objectives identified in the marine planning process will be achieved. By bringing planning partners together to work towards shared objectives, marine planning helps to avoid conflicts, protect culture and the environment, and advance the right development and economic activities. Following many years of research and negotiations by Nunavik Inuit, the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement was signed in 2006 by Anguvigaq and the governments of Canada and Nunavut. The agreement tasks the Nunavik Marine Region Planning Commission with creating a marine use plan. This work is underway. As we move marine planning forward in the Nunavik Marine Region, our priority is ensuring that the process is inclusive. Engagement with planning partners is essential for success as it builds trust and improves the quality of decision-making. We look forward to connecting with everyone with uses, interests, or responsibilities in the Nunavik Marine Region and to building a comprehensive, relevant, and achievable marine use plan together.
So thank you again, Tiva. We're really excited about that. And a lot of those shots are from our well-being workshops earlier this year, and Janelle will be speaking to those workshops later on in the forum. So what is marine planning? We do not expect you to come here knowing exactly what it is. It is a tool to manage human activities in marine spaces. It balances social, cultural, and environmental, as well as economic objectives. Often, there's an understanding that it's all about environmental protection. That is a key part of planning, and we're doing this work, as mentioned, under the Nunavik Inuit Land Claims Agreement. And as Kayak mentioned, the objective is Inuit self-sufficiency. So all aspects need to be considered, including the environment and these other objectives. Together, marine planning brings us together to look towards the future and decide where we want to go, and then come together and work towards that future as a team. We don't replace existing management bodies. As noted in the video, the Anguvigaq have their role. We respect that role. DFO, Beluga, Wildlife Management, Transport Canada, the government of Nunavut, they have their roles. We do not interfere with what they're doing. We do not step on their toes. what we do is work with them. We support existing efforts. There are places where we can work to do strong marine planning while also advancing the mandates of other organizations. Marine planning is all about coordination and communication. We all have what we're intended to do, our roles, our mandates, and sometimes when we look down and focus only on what we need to do, we don't realize how we're impacting others and where there are possible partnerships. Marine planning is all about coordination. The really neat thing about marine planning that's different from land use planning is there are often things in the marine environment where there isn't yet a lead. So where there is a management body, we tuck in behind and support. Where there isn't an existing body, we're here to bring people together and create those new structures to move things forward where people are like, this needs action. That is a really cool part of marine planning. So it's not just about where something goes and when, it's bigger. It's about governance and coordination again. And a really exciting piece of that is that marine planning helps tackle what we call wicked problems. They're those huge problems that no one organization can solve on its own. The best example of that is climate change. It's so big, and what happens is people are like, well, I can't fix that. You know, that's not in our mandate. But what's needed is for everyone to play a small role and come together, and then together, change happens. I want to highlight that the work that we do does not impact the rights of beneficiaries. Those rights are protected under the Constitution Act, the James Bay and Northern Quebec Agreement, under the NILCA. What we can do is manage human activities that might impact those traditional activities. So this is a lot. Why do it? The key benefits of marine planning include minimizing conflicts between uses, so understanding where people are, what they're doing, protecting culture and the environment, advancing the right development and economic activities in the right places, and I'll add, at the right times. So it's about space and time. So different from land use planning, where you put a school in, and then you put a factory in, and they're there. In the marine environment, you have shipping coming through, then in a different season, you might have harvesting and tourism, and it's all happening in the same spaces. It's fascinating. I'm going to talk through the high-level steps because I want to make this concrete. Marine planning is about action. There are theories that are great, and there are things that best practices. Marine planning will apply those and take action and move forward. So step one, engage planning partners. That is the most important part about marine planning. Thank you for being here. We need you here today and throughout the planning process. We are not the ones to lead this, you are. Next, analyze the current situation and potential futures. Who is in the Nunavik Marine region? We still don't know. So we hope that we can work with you to learn what exactly is going on out there, who is doing it, where it's taking place, and when it's taking place. So it's saying, okay, what's happening? What activities are we going to manage? And then this is what's really exciting. It's all about mapping. You lay it all out in a map and you say, okay, what's happening at the same places, at the same times, or maybe even at different times, but there's some sort of residual impact where they're still interacting together. It's really fun. Next, you say, okay, we have these areas where there's potential for interaction. We recognize that. Is it good? Is it a problem? Where do we need to go? And then you say, okay, if there are places where activities aren't working well together, trade-offs have to be made. There are choices. Marine planning can have winners and losers. That's why it's so important to come together at the start and maintain respect and trust. So when we say, hey, that's a really important area for harvesting, perhaps that's not the ideal place for a wind turbine. We all recognize, we agree, yes, the priority is the harvesting. We can move the wind turbine possibly to another location. We can work on compromises or trade-offs. Marine planning in the Nunavik Marine region, and this dovetails with what the Government of Canada shared, so I'm really happy about that because we didn't coordinate, And it's fun. We'll do coordination moving forward, so I'm thrilled that we're already on the same page. So we have 7 phases. Phase 1 through 3, that's kind of your pre-planning that was mentioned by the Government of Canada. So process initiation. In our process, that's the establishment of the NILCA. That's what kicked us off. This is why we're here. Phase 2, the initial preparation and information gathering. Stephen Kilburn will speak to an amazing use and occupancy study that was done between 2011 and 2016. We have an immense amount of data available to understand what's happening on the land, what are the practices, what's being harvested, and we're so excited to use that information. Phase 3, the strategy. That's where we are right now. The strategy is the roadmap. It tells us what we need to talk about and how we're going to talk about it. And that is coming out very soon in a draft form. So for 3 years, we've been engaging all of our planning partners. We started in 2023 with an early engagement tour. So all Nunavik Inuit communities were visited. We explained who we are, what we're doing, and heard opinions on the Nunavik Marine region. Next up came 3 separate surveys through 2024 and 2025. We did a targeted survey with elders and harvesters in Nunavik. We engaged 204 people. But bless their souls, they did a survey that sometimes took 3 hours. So hats off. We got an amazing amount of information. It was no small task. Next, we went to the general public. So we did a survey all across Canada because our planning partners include everyone with an interest in the Nunavik Marine region. We engaged 354 people. Lastly, we did an organizational survey. So that survey engaged government, non-government organizations, academics, industry, anyone and everyone who we could connect with so that they could share with us who they are, what they're doing, what their responsibilities are, so we can understand what's the lay of the land now and also what might be coming in the future. Lastly, we did our well-being workshops this year. Again, Janelle is going to speak more to those later on. So now that's the strategy, marine planning. This is the kickoff for marine planning. So this is where we really dig in and we start talking about what is happening, how we need to make trade-offs, making sure everyone stays engaged and work together. So those are those 4 steps that I talked about. So that's them nested right here. And then, as the Government of Canada touched on, wonderful, the outcome is a marine use plan. It's a physical document. And the goal of it is to kind of say, where should things go? Where should they not go? Where are the conflicts? How are we going to manage that? And that will come from you. That is different in every single marine planning process because it's tailored to the culture and the location that it's established in. So time will tell what that will look like. Once you have the plan, and it's approved, you go into implementation and enforcement, and then over time, you monitor, evaluate, and adapt. We change our preferences. We learn new things. A plan now is not the appropriate plan 10 years from now. So it needs to grow and change with us and make sure that it reflects best practices and where we want to really go. So those are our 7 steps, and they're circular because you come back and you say, okay, we're going to adapt, and then you create a new plan. Oh, and I didn't transition. So last slide, our timeline. Planning takes time. I really want to highlight that this is the beginning. You will have so many more opportunities to engage, to share your opinions, to be part of the process. So please know that we are listening and we will continue reaching out. On the last day, we will have an ongoing engagement discussion to make sure that we engage with you in a way that works for you. We are aiming to do our plan for 2030, so to submit it in 4 years for approval. We'll see how that goes. We'll adapt to make sure, again, everyone's ready and feels like we have what we need. And that is my presentation, and I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much for sticking with me at the end of the day.
Thank you, Susan, for presenting why we are here today So we will have objectives and work to do. So thank you for showing us where we are and how much we've progressed. So we heard from all kinds of different organizations. So if anybody has any questions, you can ask all these different organizations, Anguvigaq, the NWMB, so especially coming from the communities, we want to hear your questions. So, or did you fully comprehend our objective today? So yes, the floor is yours if you have any questions. I think we fully understood what the planning process looks like. I think we're coming to an end for today. Janelle will have a few words for our wrap up this afternoon. Done.
Yeah, you've been hogging the mic all day. He keeps telling me to relax. Do I not look relaxed? Thank you, everyone, for day one. You know, that's a lot of information to take in, and we have more presentations tomorrow. I know you've seen the agenda, so we'll have lots of good snacks and coffee and things tomorrow. We would like to start at 9 tomorrow. The breakfast will be served out in the foyer, the same as 8 to 8:45 tomorrow morning. And the lunch will be also provided, and coffee breaks. If everyone can leave, before you go, your headsets, please leave them on the table and just unplug them would be great. Okay, I've lost Sarah Lisa. She was supposed to tell me if I forgot anything. Yeah, so tomorrow morning we're going to get started with Dallas Smith, who's our keynote tomorrow morning. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Nakarmi.
Oho sahap minga ma sintev mit longong ipigus sihat langawino hatitinit harer mitunit.
Let's look after one another. Our day has wrapped up. So please respect other people in their rooms, and we have a lot of work to do during our forum here, so please respect our times. The breakfast will be available at 8, so we want to start at 9. So please take care of one another. So let's not be late. Let's please show up at tomorrow morning. Thank you for today. I wish everyone a great evening and rest well. Thank you.
And we'll still have the Vickers room open for about an hour, so feel free to.
Inalo kaya Vickers kaya nga ukoi nga kanila nga kay wala ko sidlo ami kono nang wata